Isabel Barton had always been a force of nature, a woman who thrived in the whirlwind of the tech world. She built her logistics empire from the ground up, turning a tiny startup into a global powerhouse. But for all her business acumen and public confidence, Isabel's personal life took a softer turn the day she met William Marks. They met, of all places, in a stalled elevator in downtown San Francisco. Isabel, running late and juggling a dozen thoughts, found herself muttering under her breath when the elevator jerked to a stop. A voice behind her, calm, a bit amused, remarked, "Looks like we're in for a little unscheduled break." She turned to see William, who was holding a coffee and looking entirely too relaxed for someone stuck in an elevator. They struck up a conversation, which turned into laughter, and by the time the elevator was moving again, Isabel found herself exchanging numbers with the man who had turned an inconvenience into a meet-cute. Their romance was the kind that felt both easy and electric. William, a talented product designer with a laid-back charm, balanced out Isabel's driven personality. They complemented each other perfectly. She brought the fire, he brought the calm. When they got married, it felt like the most natural step in a journey that had already changed both of their lives. When their son Noah was born, Isabel felt a love deeper than she had ever known. Noah was a bright, curious baby with eyes that seemed to take in everything. William would whisper little stories to him at night, and Isabel would watch them together, feeling like their little family was her greatest achievement. But as Noah grew, Isabel began to notice the subtle signs that something was different. While other toddlers were babbling away, Noah was quieter, more focused on observing than speaking. He'd smile and gesture, clearly understanding everything around him, but words came slowly, often with a visible struggle. Isabel's instincts told her there was more to it than simple shyness. But every doctor assured them that some children just took longer to speak. Still, the comparison was hard to ignore when they were surrounded by chatty preschoolers. Isabel, lying awake at night, listening to the quiet of the house and wondering if her son's silence was just a phase or the beginning of a journey they hadn't expected. She didn't know it yet, but the answer would come from the most unexpected place, and it would change all of their lives forever. As Noah grew into a toddler, the comparisons became inevitable. Isabel and William would take him to play dates and family gatherings, where other children his age chattered away, stringing together simple sentences and delighting their parents with endless questions. Noah, meanwhile, communicated in his own quieter way. He was observant and expressive with his eyes and gestures, but words remained elusive. Isabel couldn't help but notice the differences. She watched as Noah would press his tongue against his lower teeth, trying to form sounds that never quite came out the way he wanted. She noticed how he'd sometimes grow frustrated when he couldn't say what was on his mind, his little face scrunching up with the effort. William, ever the optimist, tried to keep things light. "He's just a thinker," he'd say. "He'll talk when he's ready." And while Isabel appreciated his positivity, she couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to it. They consulted specialists who reassured them that some children simply took longer to talk. "He's clearly bright and engaged," one speech therapist said. "There's no need to worry. Just give him time." But time felt like a luxury they didn't want to waste. Isabel trusted her instincts, and her instincts told her that they needed to keep looking for answer. Isabel and William sat in Dr. Kara Eden's office. The walls painted in soothing colors and children's drawings pinned up like a gallery of hope. Dr. Eden had a way of making them feel like they were the only parents in the world, giving them her full attention as she explained her findings. "I know it's been a long journey to get here, Dr. Eden began, her voice warm and reassuring. "But I want you to know that what we've found is very treatable. Noah has a condition called tongue tie, which means the tissue under his tongue is a bit shorter and tighter than it should be. That's what's been making it hard for him to speak." Isabel felt a wave of emotion rise in her chest. She glanced at William, who gave her a reassuring nod. "So it's not something permanent?" she asked, a tremor of hope in her voice. Dr. Eden smiled. "Not at all. A small, quick procedure to release the tissue, and you'll likely see a big improvement. With a little speech therapy afterward, Noah will be able to form words much more easily. He's going to be just fine." Tears welled up in Isabel's eyes. All the worry, all the uncertainty, suddenly had a clear path forward. She reached out and took William's hand, feeling the same relief mirrored in his eyes. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice thick with gratitude. "You don't know how much this means to us." Dr. Eden nodded warmly. "I'm glad we found the answer, and you've both done an amazing job advocating for Noah. He's lucky to have parents who never gave up on finding out what he needed." As they left the office, Isabel felt a sense of lightness she hadn't felt in months. They walked out into the sunshine, holding hands and knowing that they were stepping into a new chapter of their lives, one where Noah would finally have the chance to let his voice be heard. Many parents were told their child was mute for life. Have you or someone you know ever experienced something similar? Share your story below. Your comment might give hope to another parent watching right now. If anyone had told Isabel Barton that the most life-changing moment for her child would come down to a mere 15 minutes, she would have laughed them out of the room. But here they were, in a bright, cartoon-decorated medical room that felt absurdly cheerful for what was about to happen. Noah, sitting on William's lap, looked more curious than worried. Isabel, on the other hand, couldn't stop pacing. She'd faced down venture capitalists and out-negotiated boardroom sharks, but seeing her little boy about to undergo a procedure, even a simple one, felt like someone had tied knots in her stomach. Cara Eden, the specialist, was reassuring and efficient. "It's a straightforward procedure. We'll just snip the restrictive tissue under the tongue, and you'll likely see improvement in his speech in a matter of days," she explained, all gentle confidence. Isabel tried to smile back. "Days," she echoed, as if testing the word. "We've been waiting years." William squeezed her hand. "We've got this," he said softly. "And hey, once he starts talking, we might wish we could get a moment of silence." Isabel managed a laugh. That was William, always finding a way to lighten the mood. "Just wait until he's arguing with us about bedtime," she teased. When it was over, Noah emerged, looking a little puzzled, but otherwise unfazed. "Hi, Mummy," he said, a bit clearer already, as if he'd just completed a small adventure. Isabel's throat tightened. The simplicity of it all was almost too much. She hugged him tightly, whispering, "I'm so proud of you, Noah." The transformation didn't happen in an instant, but it happened in the small, magical moments that followed over the next few days. At first, Noah's voice came out rough and hesitant, like an old engine starting up after years of silence. He repeated simple words, testing them on his tongue as if he was tasting them for the first time. "Ball," he said, holding up his favorite toy. "More milk," he added at breakfast, and Isabel nearly dropped the carton in surprise. William, ever the playful dad, started making a game of it. "Hey, buddy, can you say pizza?" he'd ask, and Noah would grin and shout pizza with a kind of excitement that made them all laugh. There were stumbles, of course, moments when Noah got frustrated, because he suddenly had so much to say and not enough words to say it. There were bedtime stories where Isabel and William had to remind him gently to slow down, to breathe, to let the words come, and with each day his confidence grew. The first time he strung together a full sentence, "Mommy, I like this story," Isabel had to excuse herself to the kitchen to wipe away happy tears. William followed, wrapping his arms around her. "Told you we'd be wishing for a little peace and quiet," he joked, and Isabel just laughed, feeling lighter than she had in years. They celebrated with a family day out, just the three of them. No business calls, no distractions. They went to a little seaside town nearby, ate ice cream, and let Noah's newfound voice fill the air with endless questions about the ocean, the seagulls, and every little thing he saw. It was as if he was making up for lost time, and Isabel and William couldn't have been happier to listen. The day ended with them sitting on the beach, Noah chattering away about how the waves sounded like music. Isabel looked at William and knew that this was the moment she'd remember forever, the day their boy found his voice. With his voice now free, Noah's personality blossomed in ways that surprised them all. He wasn't just talking. He was expressing himself with a kind of joyful abandon. He discovered he loved telling jokes, even if they didn't always make sense. "Why did the banana go to the doctor?" he'd ask, and then burst out laughing before delivering the punchline. Isabel and William played along, delighted to see their son so full of life. Of course, there were challenges too. Noah had to learn how to handle the flood of new sounds and sensations. Sometimes he'd get overwhelmed and retreat into quiet moments, and that was okay. Isabel and William gave him all the space he needed, always there to support him. One evening, after a particularly noisy day, Noah climbed into Isabel's lap and said, "Mommy, my words are like bubbles. Sometimes I have too many." Isabel hugged him close and whispered, "That's okay, my love. We'll pop them one at a time." And together they sat quietly, enjoying the calm after the storm of a very talkative day. The house was alive now, filled with the sounds of Noah's chatter, music in the kitchen, and the joyful chaos of a family finally at ease. Isabel often found herself just standing in the hallway, listening to the beautiful noise that had replaced the silence of the past. It was in these small moments that she realized just how much had changed, not just for Noah, but for all of them. One evening, long after Noah had fallen asleep, Isabel found herself sitting on the back porch with William. They were wrapped in a blanket, sharing a bottle of wine and watching the stars. The conversation drifted from work to family, to the future they could now imagine more vividly than ever. "You know," William said, swirling his glass, "I always knew we'd get here somehow. I just didn't know the path would be this wild." Isabel laughed softly, leaning her head on his shoulder. "I guess that's the beauty of it. We don't always know how things will turn out, but we keep going." She paused, then added with a mischievous smile, "And now we have a little chatterbox who's going to keep us on our toes for the next decade or two." William chuckled. "I wouldn't have it any other way." He turned more serious, looking into her eyes. "You know, you've been incredible through all of this. I know it wasn't easy, but you never gave up on him, or on us." Isabel felt a lump in her throat. "We did it together," she said, "and I think in some ways Noah taught us just as much as we taught him. He showed us what it means to find your voice, no matter how long it takes." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the stars. The moment felt like a quiet acknowledgement of everything they'd been through, and the beautiful future they now had the chance to embrace. Isabel knew that life would still have its challenges, But they were stronger now, more connected, and ready for whatever came next. As she rested her head on William's shoulder, Isabel whispered, "We're going to be just fine." If you're a parent watching this, and something doesn't feel right, trust your instinct. Ask again, check again, look closer, and if this story gave you hope, leave a comment below. Someone scrolling tonight might need to see it. They said he was mute for life, but all he needed was to be heard properly.